That's right. You know what time it is. It is time for another edition of Road Trippin'. Welcome inside the studios. I'm Allie Clifton, running point per usual, solo, but as we know, we've come to learn due to COVID-19, I'm not completely solo. My guys, of course, joining me, Channing Frye from the comfy confines, as always, of his home in Portland, Oregon. Always good to see you, Channing.
That
and then
ugly yellow mustard chair.
Love it. Look,
you get reupholstered.
Get used to
yes,
it.
It's super comfy too.
I actually feel like you're like a king in that chair.
I feel like a king.
I don't doubt you. Yeah, exactly. And then joining from the Orlando bubble, still in the bubble, he is surviving, Richard Jefferson. Guys,
Hello,
good
everyone.
to see you as always. I'm really excited about this episode. Can we just get to it? Is that all right?
Let's go.
All right. So he is a former NBA head coach, having spent time with the Heat, the Detroit Pistons, the Orlando Magic, but now he's turned NBA analyst for TNT, Turner, NBA TV. He's one of the best voices. His name is Stan Van Gundy. One of the best to ever do it. One of the best humans. Stan, thanks for taking the time. We're so glad to have you.
Channing. That was a fake clap.
When's the last time I've physically had to clap for anything? I haven't really left my house. I haven't gone to a sporting event. I don't clap in my house.
You have children. You have to clap just like, oh, that's such a good job.
Coach, I don't know
need
if
to
you
clap at my children.
I have a feeling, Coach, you have some sort of idea of what you just got yourself into.
Well, yeah, I've seen the podcast, and I've seen both of these guys in action and other vids also. So, yes, I was well aware of what I was getting into. And before we even came on air, they were making fun of me because I struggle with technology. So they didn't even wait till I got on here to start ripping me apart. So,
but you need to give yourself some credit because very few people can get these two in line. And you snapped real quick and you said, respect your elders. Put them in place.
Well, and I'm very much both of their elders. So.
Okay, so let's begin because, as I just mentioned, Richard is in the bubble, still down there with the NBA. And, Coach, you just left the bubble not too long ago. How was the experience? Richard has his pickleball paddle. Did you play any pickleball when you were down there?
And I didn't do anything. I really didn't. I broadcast games. I got on Zoom calls. I spent time with my brother. We would walk every morning because he's down there, and that was it. I mean, it's boring as heck. And our bubble's not even as restrictive as the one Richard's in because they literally can't get out. I mean, ours, like if you just wanted to walk out of there, there's nobody that would know. So it's a little bit. Some guys, no, really, and some guys in the media. And they actually said it was okay. Go over to like Disney Springs and stuff, which is open to the public. So, it's a whole nother deal. I mean, where Richard is, they are confined.
Oh, I found that out the hard way. So when I first got here, they took me to a testing station, right? They took me to a testing station right next to the arena. And so after that, I was in the bubble. Then 10 days later, I'm getting off the bus. I was like, oh, let me just go get tested at the testing station that's right there in front of the buses, the same place when I first got here. And so I went and did it. Then I get this email saying, hey, you haven't been testing, or you haven't tested yesterday. I was like, oh, I did. I tested at the arena. And they're like, where at the arena? And I was like, oh, right at the trailers. They were like, you did what? So it went like DEFCON 5 because apparently that's a yellow zone. And like you said, those people can just go to Walmart. They can go to Taco Bell. They can go to a concert if they want. I did not know that. And so they had to put me back in quarantine, and I had to get multiple negative tests to get out of quarantine and then now when you get off the bus, you see a bunch of signs like, this is a yellow zone. If you come here, you will go back to quarantine. So I'm thinking to myself, after playing pickleball with the referees, I single-handedly could have caught COVID there, came back, played with all of the referees, and pretty much ruined a $150 million bubble.
Oh, my God.
I would have paid money for that.
Channing, why do you think that way? Why do you think that way?
I obviously I don't want it to happen, but if it did, but on a lower level where he really didn't get in trouble, but he just got embarrassed a little bit? Oh, for sure. I'm roasting him. I'm for sure roasting him.
Okay.
Friends like this, Coach. Friends like this.
Listen,
Yes.
after 20 years, that's why I have
That's for sure.
I do want to know this, though, Coach, because like you mentioned, you were down there with your brother. Are you guys close? I mean, I've read that you guys went on walks every morning, that you spent that time together. What was it like, though in kind of isolation?
Yeah, no, that part of it was actually good for me because we are really close. I mean, we probably talk 5 or 6 times a week anyway. I mean, almost every day, but we don't get to see each other that much. And so to be in a situation where I got to see him consistently and spend time with him, that was one of the advantages. Even in the worst situations, I think you can usually find a silver lining, and that was the silver lining of the bubble.
Guys, do you want to dive into what is very easy and obvious right now?
Please.
Should we?
Coach.
There you go.
No, go ahead. I was going to make something up, but it's all right.
No, please.
Here's
Jack,
my question, right? So when you coached Dwight Howard and Jason Richardson and J.J. Redick, half that team ended up playing for the Suns, and all they could talk about was your practices, right? So my question was, as a coach, where did you get your style from?
Well, my dad coached for 40 years at the high school and small college levels. And so I grew up around the game. Not only my dad, but all my dad's friends were coaches. So my brother and I grew up around coaching our entire life. And then when I came into the NBA in 1995 from the college game, I was working for Pat Riley, who, practices were long and hard, and that's what I was used to. And so, yeah, we probably at most points practiced more than most teams did.
I had Byron Scott, who was a Pat Riley disciple early on in my career. And it is true. Like, that is the one thing. If you're in this league over a span of 15, 20, coach for 30 years in this league, like, everybody adjusts and change to like what the current climate is when it comes to whether it's resting players, less practice, just shoot. We didn't even have like massage therapists. We didn't have anything. We didn't have Gatorade. All this stuff that these young kids have. It's amazing how they have more technology to help these recover quicker, but then they still play less. That's the only thing for me.
Right. I totally agree with you. I remember one of the things that people would always try to say about playing for Pat Riley, it'll shorten your career. I said, really? I said, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, Derek Harper, who are all these guys whose careers got shortened? I would say if you really did the research on it, guys who've been in those situations, their careers were longer. And the interesting thing now, with the load management and all of that, injuries are going up. Games missed due to injury are going up. So if the answer is rest guys more, do less work, practice less, then why aren't we seeing a bunch of these guys being available all the time? We're not.
No,
I think it's a culture thing now. Like back in the day, we go play basketball all day. I remember my dad would drop me off at 6 a.m. on Saturday and pick me up at 12 with like $5, right, to go get a Jack in the Box burger, right? So it was like F nutrition. If the water fountain wasn't working, you better save some money and get a Gatorade and pour some water in that. And then it was just you hooped all day. So you became conditioned for that.
But I would also say this, I have never tried to hold that up, Channing, as that's the way to do things, okay? I think the one thing you can look at in the NBA in terms of the way coaches do things, there's a lot of different ways that have worked. And to try to tout this is the way you have to do it, I don't think that'll hold up to scrutiny. And as you guys said, and it's absolutely true, the one thing players are great at is players adapt very, very well. And whatever we do here, okay, I'll adapt to that. And then it's somewhere else, it's different, I'll adapt to that. I have found players to be extremely adaptable.
Does your wife want you to coach again?
My wife, Richard, is extremely supportive and sees
That's
some
awesome.
positive things there.
Coach, I want to ask you this question. There's 6 coaching spots available still to be filled in the NBA. As we just mentioned, and as many have listened to you throughout this postseason run and calling games now with Turner, I know prior to last season starting, you mentioned that the season was starting, you weren't coaching, but you still had the itch. And one of the things you loved about Turner was they gave you an opportunity to call games, to be in the arena. Do you still want to coach?
I don't think that'll ever go away. You know, I mean, that's sort of what I've wanted to do my entire life. Since I was 13 years old and hit under 100 playing baseball and realized, okay, that's probably not going to be a career. And then I grew up before AAU basketball, and I went to one of the first big camps. I went to the Superstar Camp in San Diego because I grew up in California, and it's all the best players in the West. The way they decided teams the first day, this was really brutal, is we did our tryout thing, and then we all sat in the stands, and the coaches literally called people down, okay? And there's 150 guys at the camp, and I'm sitting in the stands, and it's me and one other dude at the end. Like,
No
you
way.
know, now, but I went 149th though. I did not
There you
last in
go.
the
There
draft.
you go.
I went 149th. But so when
It's a
you
small
hit under
win.
100
It's a
in
small
baseball
win.
and go 149th in the draft, you're saying, look, my playing career is probably going to be short. So from that point on, I wanted to coach. And so that itch will never go away. But I think also when you get to my age, there's also other priorities and things you want to do. And it's just always evaluating and trying to find the best situation to both challenge yourself and have a life and enjoy, and what's best for my wife and the whole thing. There's a lot of things that go into all those decisions.
Now, Coach, really quickly, does your wife want you to coach again?
My wife, Richard, is extremely supportive and sees
That's
some
awesome.
positive things there. Like, one of the things she really liked, if you talk to the guys we had in Detroit, especially, they will talk about how great, like, the family room and everything was there. And that was my wife and the woman who was my executive assistant. I mean, it was incredible. And she enjoyed those relationships. So my wife misses those relationships. She does not miss my moods when I coach. And so I would say she would be 50.
I don't miss them either.
On wanting me to coach again. Yeah.
Again, just because we're on the topic and we bring up your wife, Kim, I love her. I've never met her, but I saw your recent tweet, which Stan is a great follow on Twitter at RealStanVG. She just received a package of Wade wine, and your comment or the tweet that you put out was that, yeah, Dwayne was a good basketball player, but wine is what is important. And I'm there for all of that. I'm there for all of that chatter.
I didn't know.
Yeah, no question. So she and Dwayne follow each other on, I don't know if it's Instagram or Facebook. I'm only on Twitter, but she ordered his wine. And yeah, that's what she said. And as soon as it came, she said, I know he was a good basketball player, but wine's a lot more important. So
I know.
She respects his wine work a lot more, Richard.
I was so bummed. I was so bummed when you guys drafted D Wade, because the year prior to that, the Miami Heat were so awful that it was basically like we used to be able to just go out there and party all night in Miami and then still get the win. But as soon as deep, why couldn't you guys have drafted Darko instead? That would have really helped keep the fun going in Miami. Low key, you and D Wade kind of ruined all the fun down there. I just want to put that on record.
Yeah, that was actually my most fun year, his rookie year. I mean, on all the time coaching in the NBA. I mean, we had Lamar Odom. It was a lot of fun, coaching those guys. But But look, I mean, I think Dwayne's rookie year, quite honestly, I've said this is the only time, and I'm as big a LeBron fan as you guys, maybe even bigger. I've said I think he's the best player ever. But in their rookie years, Dwayne Wade should have been the rookie of the year, not LeBron.
Oh, why?
Yeah, well, he helped lead a team. You guys went to the postseason that year. He hit the game.
We
He
went
hit
to
the
the
game
second
winner.
round of the playoffs.
Yeah, he hit that game winner. He bodied Baron Davis for the floater. I remember that.
Why?
There's no question.
Stan, why do you say that?
I'll say that to this day. And I just think what he did for LeBron was great his rookie year, but Cleveland didn't really do anything. Dwayne took a team that had won 61 games total in the previous 2 years. And
Miami was a lot of fun. During those prior years.
Exactly right. And got us to 42 wins and the second round of the playoffs. I mean, what he did for that team and the way he changed it. And as a rookie, just like LeBron was in Cleveland, he was the best player on the team. So it wasn't like he was a rookie riding somebody's coattails. He was the best player on the team. He was our go-to guy. I just thought he should have been the rookie of the year. And I'm not trying to cause a feud between Dwayne and LeBron. They're good friends. And LeBron's had an unbelievable career, even better than Dwayne's, as good as it was. But in that year, I thought Dwayne should have been the rookie of the year.
What a twisted circle this must be for you when you think of, as we record this, it's the day before Game 1 of the NBA Finals. So it'll be a couple days after, well into the series. But with your history in Miami, of course, you had Dwight Howard. You just talked about how much of a fan you are of LeBron James. I mean, what is this like for you in terms of watching LA and the Heat? What are your thoughts in general on this finals?
Well, I think it's going to be a great series. As far as rooting interest, I mean, I've probably, Eric Spoelstra is a good friend, a really good friend. Malik Allen played for me both in Miami and Orlando and worked for me in Detroit. So those are probably the two people involved in this series I'm the closest to. Malik's on Eric's staff. So there's no question to me. I mean, if I have a rooting interest, it's Miami. But Dwight Howard, obviously, with the Lakers, I coached KCP in Detroit. Yep. And so I'll be happy for whoever wins it. I'm very happy both those teams are in it. I'm friends with Frank Vogel also. So, I mean, I'll be happy either way, but if I have a rooting interest, it's with the Heat.
Coach, this is my opinion. I just don't think that the Lakers shooters are efficient enough. So you have to play big to get more rebounds than the opponent. So more rebounds means more shot attempts.
So here's a coaching question. And so my cousin is the biggest Lakers homer of all time. And he said, do the Lakers have a chance? And I said, if they can beat a zone. So do you think, as coach, watching the Lakers and Heat, that the Lakers can beat that zone?
I mean, I think it'll be like anything. It'll go back and forth. I think it'll give them some problems early. They'll probably figure it out to some degree. I have said I think I would give the Heat a slight edge in this series. And not just because of the zone, but I think just in general, I still don't buy the Lakers' half-court offense. I think they're limited. I think it's LeBron and Anthony Davis and a lot of question marks, right? I mean, I think if you can get back against the Lakers and you will really focus on keeping the ball out of the paint, that the Lakers can struggle offensively. Whereas I think Miami has a lot of options. They have guys who can get to the paint. They get a lot of cuts, but they can also make threes. I mean, again, a slight edge because the Lakers have easily the two best players on the court. But I still think overall I'd give Miami a little bit of an edge in this series.
I told somebody this. I said that this series reminds me of the Laker-Detroit series.
In 2004.
Yes, the Lakers-Detroit series where you had a lot of star power, where you had Gary Payton, Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone versus a team. And someone pulled up the stats. This is not me knowing this, but the Lakers had 41 total All-Stars. Like total All-Stars. Shut up, Kenny. And then the Detroit Pistons at the time, they only had 4. Ben Wallace was a 2-time All-Star, and Rasheed Wallace was a two-time All-Star. So this was before Chauncey. This was before Rip made All-Star games. And they were just such a good team, so well balanced versus the star power of the Lakers. And this series seems very, very similar.
If you just took every player in this series and had a draft, right? Obviously, the first two picks would be Davis and James. And after that, my guess is six of the next 7 picks would be Miami's guys. I think they're really, really hard to guard. Now, here's the caveat, though. If Bam Adebayo gets in foul trouble, I think he's the key guy for the Heat because they play through him on the offensive end of the floor. And to me, he's the only guy out there who has any kind of fighting chance guarding Anthony Davis. If he gets in foul trouble and can't play 38, 40 minutes a night, then I think the advantage would shift to the Lakers.
Okay, speaking of that, Coach, let me ask you this question then, because you've talked about how much you respect Eric Spoelstra. You know him. You just mentioned moments ago, put him in the Hall of Fame already. With his coaching style, do you think that he will start Bam on Anthony Davis, or do you think he will use him as a counter move?
Yeah, that's interesting. But part of it is going to go to who Frank Vogel decides to start. You know, is Frank Vogel going to start big like he did against Denver? Obviously, he had no choice with Jokic, and start Dwight Howard or JaVale McGee at center? Or is he going to go small like he did against Houston and start Markieff Morris in there? I think if Frank Vogel starts big and Eric Spoelstra puts Bam Adebayo on Davis, that means Jay Crowder's got to guard Dwight Howard, who will destroy him on the offensive glass. Destroy him. I mean, Crowder's a tough guy.
Yeah.
But you saw.
No, he's not that big, dude.
No, he's not.
Dwight Howard is a different human being. He's just a different human being his size. He's just so big and strong.
Dude.
You got to put a big on him.
And he's dangerous when he doesn't have to play 30-plus minutes. If he has 24 under minutes, his energy is crazy. But when he has to play bigger minutes, I feel like he kind of reserves it. And then his role, he's kind of embraced it more and more as the season's gone on. And now he's the most dangerous person on the court because he's an offensive rebounder. He's a lob threat. He's a solid defender. He's an all-defensive player. So that's just a guy you could put in and out and burst is crazy.
Yeah, I guess the question I'd have for you guys even is, do you like the Lakers better when they go small or better when they play big? I like what they did in the regular season myself, where Anthony Davis started at the 4, but when they went down to the last 8 minutes, they would play him at center. I don't think they're quite as good when they play small more than they did in the regular season.
Coach, this is my opinion. I just don't think that the Lakers shooters are efficient enough, in my opinion. So you have to play big to get more rebounds than the opponent. So more rebounds means more shot attempts. And so when you get more shot attempts, whether it's offensive rebounds or limiting their offensive rebounds on the defensive rebounding space, that means that you probably need to get 10 to 12 more shots because your players aren't going to shoot well via efficiency. They have to do it via volume. And the only way for them to do that is to play big.
I totally agree.
I like when they go big, man. I think for me, Anthony Davis has never been a center. If you look at his stats versus Jokic, when Jokic was guarded by AD, Jokic was barbecuing him one-on-one. He's way better off the ball, not having to guard your post-up guys. So if you play big, JaVale McGee's eating up space. Anthony Davis is eating up space. KCP, Bron, Danny Green. That's a really, really tall team. I like that physicality. I like that they do get rebounds. Like Richard said, I'm shocked I agree with him via agreement. But I like when they go big.
But I think that's the argument that the Lakers have had all season long, is that they have that option, because there was often times, and it was that game when Miami was here in LA, when they were able to go to AD more and go smaller later in the game after Spo threw that zone out originally. So as much as I feel like, Richard, you've made that point to me so many times about how much can you rely consistently on their shooters, I think the one thing that the Lakers have is the option to go different at any point throughout the game and still be able to dominate.
And that's how you end up with the #1 seed in the Western Conference.
Yeah,
you might have holes. You might have holes in your game, right? Or areas that can be exploited. But the better you are at hiding those or limiting how badly they can be exposed, right? The Lakers don't have great shooting, but if you can get enough shots and rebound the ball well enough and play great defense, then you can force the other team into being less efficient and you give your shooters more opportunity. So it's like, even though it's something to talk about, they've done a great job of limiting their exposure in that area.
There's no question. I think, Richard, you hit it right on the head. I mean, their flexibility to be able to play different ways is one of their great strengths. And you've got to give JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, Markieff Morris, all of those guys a lot of credit for accepting that. I mean, so Dwight Howard and McGee play in the first round against Portland because Portland's got Nurkic, and Whiteside. And then in the second round, they don't play virtually at all. And then in the conference finals, they're back. And Markieff just reversed that. And those guys have all handled that. And, it brings me back to a point. Doc Rivers had said to me at one point during the year when we were doing one of their games, talking about guys to accept a role, and you guys can certainly speak to that. He said, you know what, it's really pretty easy to get guys to accept roles when they're on a team that has a chance to really do something great and to contend for a championship. Everybody's willing to sacrifice for that. He said, when it's hard, are you willing to try to get somebody to sacrifice? Hey, if you make this sacrifice, we can win 38 games this year. Yeah, and now guys are saying, wait a minute, like, you're going to play me less, I'm going to get less shots, all of that, and we're going to maybe get the 8th seed. That's hard to get guys to play roles, but you guys have both been there on really good teams. It's a whole different thing when you have a chance to win. And I think Dwight Howard, I know for sure, sees that chance and, hey, whatever role Frank wants me to play, I'm playing.
But that coach, that's what's so awesome about championship teams, and you try and convey to people. Like the year that we were fortunate enough to win it, in the second round, we played against Atlanta that had Al Horford and Paul Millsap. I did not play in that series. Do you know who played in that series? Channing Frye played in that series and played extremely well, and Kevin Love was so dominant.
8 threes, I think, in game 3, 8 threes.
But then fast forward, the next are in the finals, we play against Golden State, and now I'm able to step up and play. And that series was not necessarily for Channing Frye. But that's what the Lakers have. The Lakers do have. They have that ability to make you play big with them, or to match up if you have a Jokic, if you have, a Nurkic, big player. But then they also have those players that go small and that allow you that versatility. And that's what makes the Lakers really, really scary and why they've been good all year.
Just take a look at the three of us, and you determine who you think's eaten more chips in their lifetime.
Coach, I want to ask you about Dwight from the standpoint of, I know that you were in his corner even when he got this second opportunity here in LA. I read an awesome quote by you and the confidence that you had in him and his ability to respond. What you're seeing, I thought it was amazing in Game 5 against Denver. LeBron played 40 minutes. The next player to play the most minutes at 35 was Dwight Howard. Have you been surprised at all? Did you doubt not only his willingness to do what he needed to do off the court and everything that was said about him from that standpoint, but to then put it on the court and be able to impact the way he is? Did you ever have any doubt? Or are you surprised by anything you've seen from him?
No, not really. I mean, again, going back to what we just said, I mean, I think he went there and immediately saw the opportunity to win. And these guys can talk to it more. It's always important to players to be in a chance to win, but as you get later in your career, it becomes more and more important. You know you don't have a lot of years left, and you want to be a part of something special, something big. And I think that's what Dwight has been wanting, and he saw the opportunity. He knew he wasn't going to get a lot of touches offensively, but he also knew very well that there was a role there for him, that he could help that team defensively and on the boards. and give them a chance to win the championship. So I'm not the least bit surprised that he bought into that.
All right, this has been a great discussion, and obviously it's very topical because of Lakers Heat, but I want to make a transition into a very interesting topic that I thought would be great for the three of you. Coach, you're so good at speaking your mind, debating, if you will, and you have two guys on either side of you as well that love to debate. So I'm going to throw this out there, and I just want to see where they take it after you give your thoughts on this. It is the hot debate of Stan Van Gundy when it comes to plain chips versus flavored chips.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
What?
potato
Oh,
chips.
Here we go.
Okay.
And Stan,
All right, here
you
we go.
believe... This is what happens when Allie does her research. You believe that plain chips are better than flavored chips.
Oh.
Okay, well, I'll give you my take, but first of all, there's no way these guys can know more about this than I do. Just take a look at the three of us, and you determine who you think's eaten more chips in their lifetime. It's clearly going to be me.
Listen.
These are two guys who are still in shape. Take a look at me. There's no chance they know more about this than I do. And here's the thing. You never want to eat chips without dip. And so you've got to have plain chips because the flavor is coming from the dip. And you do not want the chip interfering with that. That's the point. And so you should always choose a plain chip. See, these guys probably, when they eat chips, they probably eat those like vegetable chips and crap like that.
What?
With
The
a-
veggie
As
straws,
I'm
the veggie
drinking my
straws.
wine,
and with no dip and everything
No, first
else.
of all-
You can't
but-
listen to people like that on something like snacks.
No. Coach.
Listen.
I am a chip connoisseur. But I'm not a big dip and chip person. I'm not like I like
Yeah.
a good dip. But ultimately, it's sour cream and cheddar ruffles. It's hints of lime. If you haven't had the Hawaiian chips, the barbecue Hawaiian chips, those are amazing.
oh, Hawaiian
I like,
chips slap.
Yeah.
I actually
See, that's
gotta sign with Stan on this. A plain lay with sour cream and onion dip. I mean, game
Yeah.
over.
I also
I'm
think
not-
it's
but
a
if-
cultural difference. We're not a dip house either. If you notice, one side says flavor and one side says plain, right? It is 2020, so I'm being very cautious here, but I'm pretty sure we like things with flavor on them.
Well, the only dip that gets played here is the guacamole, like that
fire!
plays.
Yes!
A plain
No.
tortilla, are Chipotle tortilla chips with guacamole. That is a good call, Coach. That is a good call.
Richard, the artichoke dip at Houston's. Ridiculous. The
That is
cheesy
quality.
artichoke dip.
Okay, so what do you eat
Yeah,
that with?
A1.
But what do you eat that with?
The chip.
You could eat that
The
with
chip.
the little pieces of bread. You could eat that with a chip, a tortilla chip, but we're talking about bags. A bag of chips
Yes.
should
Okay.
have flavor on it 99% of the time.
No. And listen, here's the other thing. That hint of lime stuff. I love people who want to try to sneak fruits and vegetables into like junk food. That doesn't even make sense. Like if you want to eat fruit. If you're going to eat chips, not together. That doesn't even make sense.
When I was reading about you and your brother taking walks in the bubble, there was a line in that article, Coach, about how your brother said that he would walk on the treadmill at home, usually with a bag of M&Ms in his hand. Oh, shoot.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
and he said he understood, though, that defeated the purpose. So,
I only work out so I can drink more, right? That's the only reason
There-
why I
there
work
you
out.
go.
Like, yeah, I work out so I can actually drink, and you don't like you kind of like counterbalance it. It's like you get a Big Mac and fries, but you get a Diet Coke. You work out a ton so you can drink more. Like it's just you just gotta find like life is about balance, ladies and gentlemen. You have to find that balance, and that's my balance.
see, I agree with that. I had a roommate in college, big guy, and he would go to like the Sunday brunch in the dining hall and destroy the thing and have whatever he wanted. I mean, French toast, pancakes, bacon, sausage. And he said the key to the whole thing, you can eat whatever you want as long as you have a Diet Coke. And that was it. That was it. As long as you have a Diet Coke, you can eat whatever you want.
Dude, that's hilarious.
It made sense to him.
Along the lines of food, since you spent time in Detroit, I'm supposed to ask you, did you ever hit a Coney?
Oh, of course. And there's a lot of Coney places there. But the Coney places now in Detroit, you know, they serve everything. I mean, you can get breakfast. You can get whatever you want. It'll still say Coney, but they're...
Isn't a Coney like a Coney dog, like a hot dog?
It's a hot dog, right? And it's, you know...
And it's got chili, cheese, beans.
Yeah, chili on it, cheese.
Wait. Isn't Coney Island, that's not in Detroit.
But Detroit has become famous for the Coney Island hot dogs.
Yes.
That's what they've become famous for.
Style.
So you're right.
So Detroit,
Coney Island's not there.
So Detroit is famous for another city's hot dog.
Yeah. All right, it's hard to... You know what? I had never really thought of that, but you're exactly right.
It's like Phoenix is famous for their Philadelphia cheesesteaks.
Richard, you know what you are right now? You're a hater. You need to get out of the bubble. You are a hater.
So, well, first of all, I never left the hotel in Detroit. I just stayed in the Townsends for obvious reasons. I miss Birmingham, Michigan.
I like Birmingham.
But I like Birmingham. It's a quaint little town. It's a piece of Americana. It's amazing. But my problem is I can't get over the fact that Detroit is famous for another city's food.
It's also famous for, you guys remember this, it's also famous for when Stan Van Gundy was the face of a rap album.
It wasn't actually a rap album, but Andre Drummond took a picture of me. We had to go to this bike riding event. We rode, and Monday nights they have, forget what, like a slow roll. And everybody just comes down and rides their bike. I was down there. It was a little cool. I was in sweats and the whole thing. I had a hat on, and Andre Drummond took a picture of me near a bike, and it was quite the sensation. I didn't even know why, to be quite honest. I spent 40 years in coaching. This is brand new. It's a whole different ball game, and just trying to get better at it.
The last thing I'm going to throw out, because I asked my guys and they've let me down so far in this episode, will you at any point in time, given, as we talked about it, with the Lakers having Anthony Davis and LeBron James, will you ever, at any point in time, send a little note to Eric Spoelstra to have in his scouting report, we must form a bleeping wall?
That was amazing. That got picked up. That was just with 0.2 of a second to go in a game, so it was amazing. It got picked up. I won't give Eric Spoelstra any suggestions whatsoever. That dude's had an unbelievable career on his own. He don't need me.
That was amazing, though.
Coach, I got one random question, right? So I started calling games. I think Channing should call games. Channing, I think you would have so much fun calling games.
I have ADD, Richard.
How much do you are very good. No, but it's different having an ADD, because this is the problem with your ADD. When you used to sit on the bench, you used to just talk to whoever it was, fans, players next to you. I used to have to sit next to Channing, because guys would get up and they'd be like, I can't sit next to him anymore. I'm trying to watch the game. He won't stop talking. I was like, I'll sit next to him. I'll sit next to him. So I would sit next to Channing, and then one time Allie looked over at him and saw Channing he was at the end of the bench talking to two fans, explaining what was going on in the game.
Because I had found out, Coach, that Channing talks so much that the players just stopped listening to him, and since they stopped listening to him, he just started talking to the fans mid-game.
I don't like being inside my head, right? I don't want to be inside my head, so everything I see, I say it out loud. Everything.
And we understand that, Channing. We understand that. And I, as your brother, I was like, I'll sit down. Everybody has quarters that they sit next to Channing, right? So he has quarters. But it's not what he's saying is accurate. Point being is this: how much are you really enjoying calling the games? Because you're really, really good at it. There are certain people when you watch the game,
hilarious.
You enjoy it. You
so
enjoy
much
it.
fun.
It's funny. You give a perspective and you learn something. Coach, I want you to coach. But if you never coach again, you could do this until the cows come home.
We'll be set. As fans, we'll be set listening to you.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys. That's nice of you to say. But I enjoyed it. And Richard, because you've worked with Ian Eagle a lot. We say this all the time about players, right? They make other people better. And that's what Ian does as a broadcaster in a lot of ways, like setting me up on the air, but also coaching me. I mean, I told him early on, like, hey, I'm new at this, criticize me, coach me, tell me what and he was willing to do that. So, I worked with him during the year and then my first 8 games in the bubble this year. And he was really, really helpful. I'm just trying to get better every day. I'm new at it, but I love being there.
I have to run because I have a Sports Center hit, guys. I love you guys. I miss you, Coach. Thank you so much for joining. These two lovely individuals are going to take you the rest of the way. I'm getting yelled at right now because I'm late. I'm so sorry I have to cut out of here, guys. But this bubble talk is not as much fun as I would like. All right, I love you guys. Bye.
Do you have shorts on?
There we go. I think just
shut your screen, Richard.
He's gone. To wrap this up, Coach, just because he kind of brought up a great point, and I always kind of wondered this too, especially with the postseason. Would you have ever wanted to call a game alongside your brother?
I called one last year. I worked for ESPN last year, and we called one in L.A., actually, a Laker. It was interesting. Laker New Orleans when Anthony Davis was playing limited minutes for the Pelicans, and it was fun. Dave Pasch was a play-by-play guy, and it was just fun. I mean, seeing him and working with him. But I'm not nearly on that level. I'm not. I mean, and I'm not trying to be modest, but I mean, he's been at it for 13 years, and I know I'm biased, but he's the gold standard in doing it, and I'm a rookie. I'm year one, and just trying to get better. And he's helped me. Mike Breen's helped me with advice. Ian Eagle helped me more than anybody. This is all new to me. Like, I spent 40 years in coaching. This is brand new. It's a whole different ball game, and just trying to get better at it.
Would you ever guess that you and Channing would be teammates?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I got to tell you, I've been waiting for this experience. But listen, Channing Frye, the challenges of guarding him when people started playing him at the 5 in particular, right? So people look at sort of this revolution of the three-point stuff. Channing Frye was the first guy, at least on a regular basis, that I encountered as a coach who was a shooting 5, okay? And so how we had to guard pick and rolls, we developed an entire different defensive scheme that then I used throughout the rest of my career. The one thing I've always appreciated in this league is good players on the other teams force you to grow as a coach. And Channing Frye and his ability to shoot the ball at the 5 forced me and my coaching staff to grow. So I have great appreciation for that.
Well, damn. Thanks, Coach. I appreciate that.
Channing, were you ready for that?
I appreciate it. No, I was not ready for that. Listen, I'm used to Richard roasting me all the time. I got to build myself up. It feels good to get a compliment.
It really did force us to get better. The good players always make you get better. And I appreciate your contribution into making me think about the game differently. Man.
This is what makes you Coach. Good, Stan, because just because you're a coach and you're around basketball every day doesn't mean that you can translate and you can sit in a booth and you can relay that to fans. I always say that's what makes the best commentators, the one that allow us as fans, as viewers, to learn. And you have that insight, obviously, as an expertise when it comes to being a coach, but it translates into the booth, and that's what makes you great, special. And for this time, to give us this time, we can't thank you enough. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you, Coach. We got to get you back on.
Not many people know that we've been working on this for a couple of weeks, but because of the bubble life and your busy schedule, you were patient with us, and you gave us your time today. So we appreciate you. You're wonderful.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Of course.
Thanks, Coach.
Another edition of Road Trippin'.
All right.